We continue with our long conversations, and tonight we are joined by Samahang Basketbol ng Pilipinas, newly appointed Executive Director Erika D. Hi, Erika. It's good to see
Hello,
you again.
good to see you.
We're going to talk basketball, and how are you in this new position? Have you settled in? Are things starting already?
I don't think I've settled in my previous position. No, that's sports, the sports industry for you. Everything's like high intensity every day, and there's a lot going on. So I don't think you can really ever settle.
Okay, let's get to know you. I know you quite well, but I guess our audience would like to know you a little more. How did you start in basketball? I know you played college basketball, the UAAP, but when did you start playing this game?
I first started playing basketball competitively, at least, no, varsity team in Poveda when I was in the 7th grade. Okay, so I was 13 years old then. It was actually my sister, because my sister's quite tall, no?
Okay.
So they asked her to join the varsity team, and so she told my mom, and my mom told me to accompany her in the tryouts. So we were both in the team that year. Tapos ako nagtuloy-tuloy na.
Okay, and after Poveda, you moved on to high school, and where was high school?
High school was in Lasal, Zobel.
And you played competitively as well.
Yes, I played in the WNCAA and the WBL while I was in Zobel.
The WNCAA schools have a lot of competitions, huh? 2 or 3 in a year?
Yes. Oo.
Oh boy. And then you moved on to college and you played for then known as the Ateneo Lady Eagles.
Yeah.
And how many years did you play for Ateneo?
I played 4 years for Ateneo.
And then you did not play, you said to me, your 5th year, and because
Correct.
you had other plans,
Yes.
you wanted to do it with your life.
Yes, I wanted to pursue law school at the time, which I did. So I ended up leaving for the US. I went to law school in California.
You did not plan to have your law studies here in the Philippines?
I did, but so this is actually the story. No, I was choosing between an MBA or a legal education, and I was reading experiences of people who had both a JD and an MBA.
Okay.
And usually they said for business, it was the legal education which helped them more, navigate the industry. So I think I want to go for a legal education, and it didn't matter anymore that I took it in another jurisdiction because I was after the discipline.
Okay. So was it goodbye to basketball while you were studying your law degree in the States?
Yeah, it was. I think even if I had gone to law school here, it would have been goodbye as well. You say goodbye to everything when you enter law school.
Oh, I guess so. And I guess that because there was no professional league for
Correct.
women, there was really nothing to look forward to in that regard. But that's not the end of your basketball journey, because you returned in what year to coach the team that you used to play for?
Well, before coaching, when I passed the bar exam in California, I went back and I clerked for the Supreme Court here in Manila. And when I was there, Epoch Kimpo started coaching the women's basketball team in Ateneo, Lady Eagles then. And he approached me and asked me if I wanted to help out as a manager. To help me.
Manager muna.
Yes,
Okay.
manager, team manager. So sabi ko, sige, why not? I mean, I owe this team a lot, no? I came from this team. So I helped out as team manager. And then after 4 years of doing that alongside Epoch as head coach, he was called up to be team manager for the Blue Eagles.
The
right?
men's senior
Yes,
team. Okay.
which he holds that position up to today. And so they talked to me and asked me if I wanted to coach. And I was like, I'm not even an assistant coach. I'm a team manager. I don't know anything about coaching. It was Sandy Arespacochaga,
Yeah.
who was the program head at that time, who was actually able to convince me to try out coaching. And, just jump into the water and take the head coach position right there and then.
Change mindset ba from being a player, a lawyer,
Yes.
manager to being coach? How different was it?
It's very different when you're a head coach. That job is very unique in a lot of ways, no? It's the loneliest job in the world, I'll have to say,
Why
being a head
so?
coach. Because you will always have your assistant coaches to rely on, but you will really feel the responsibility and the burden of being, the head coach of the team, and therefore the results, wherever you get to the journey, it's all up to you. It's all on your shoulders. And medyo mabigat yun eh. And kahit nandyan yung mga assistant coaches mo, parang suporta lang sila sa'yo eh.
Were you the
Diba?
type that always had to draw plays on napkins when you went to a restaurant, or did you have a
No.
scratch paper? Hindi naman.
Hindi
You
naman.
could say, wag muna tayo mag-basketball and
Oo.
do something
Actually,
else.
today, ang X and O's medyo mas madali na eh, di ba? With
Aha.
everything on YouTube and all of that, I think yung coaching, nagkakaalaman ngayon with, when it comes to the leadership eh, yung buy-in sa players, the way you lead the players, the way you communicate with them, and you bring the team together, yun yung mas mahirap na parte.
How far did the team go with you?
So when I came in, one thing that was easy for me was that the year before, the team had 1 win. So makadalawang panalo lang, laki na ng
Major
improvement ko.
accomplishment.
Oo. But my first year of coaching, we ended up 7-7, which wasn't bad. And next year I coached, which was also my last season, we made the finals. We didn't win the championship.
Sinong nakalaban sa finals?
NU was a powerhouse already back then.
And even after achieving that, did you already know that you wanted to say goodbye to coaching?
Yes, I kind of knew also after my first year of coaching, no? But I had a lot of players who were graduating the next year, and I didn't want to leave them. So I said I would stay on and coach them their last year, their 5th playing year. And that's what happened. So right after I left already.
So that was the hardest part, the emotional attachment to the
Yes.
players. The preparation, wala yun, okay lang yun.
Oo.
How similar is that to preparing for law?
Very
brief?
similar.
Very similar,
Yes, oo. I would always use that as an analogy, no? When you're studying for the bar exam, there's too much to study.
Okay.
You have to kind of pick and choose, no, what to focus on, and hope that that's the questions that come out in the exam. It's pretty much the same in coaching. There's so much to cover, and you only have so much time to prepare. So, piliin mo, ano ba yung likely na gagawin ng kalaban, ganyan. Kaya,
Okay.
parang papakiramdaman mo yon. Tapos, tataya ka doon kayo gagaling. Kung yun ang ginawa ng kalaban, may pangontra kayong maganda, panalo ka.
As a law person, what was your favorite part? What was your expertise, if you were to call it one? What was your favorite part?
I think I like trademark intellectual property law. That's very interesting to me.
Okay.
Commercial.
So, but that was when in the journey you also went to Columbia University to take a master's degree. Was that before coaching?
That was after coaching.
So
Yes.
was that part of a plan for you?
No. So after coaching, no, one of also the reasons why I stepped down from coaching is because I was offered an administrative position in the sports department in Ateneo, right? In the UAO, as assistant athletic director. So I was doing that
To
a
Ricky
couple
Palou.
of years. To M. Fernandez.
M. or Fernandez
yes,
already,
M. Fernandez
okay.
already. So that's what happened. Ricky Palou had resigned, so M had to step up, and they needed someone to replace his former position. So that was me. And we had the 2019 SEA Games here,
Oh,
right? If
okay.
you remember. And as someone working in the sports industry, malaking bagay yun, di ba? Nakikita mo lahat, international sports all around you. Tapos doon ka na-decide, no, I think I really want to make this my career path, no? To stay in the sports industry. But I didn't want to stay in it and just rely on my experience as a former player or a former coach. Diba? If I'm gonna give back to this industry, I wanted to be educated in it. And that's
So
what led
you
me to
wanted
taking
some
a
kind of
master's.
framework and
Correct.
theoretical as well as practical
Yes.
training for it.
Yeah.
So was that helpful down there? Because we're bleeding into your role in SBP, but what was it like in Colombia, the sport? Was it an eye-opener?
Very much. So the Columbia program is basically almost like an MBA, except that it's very focused on sports. And it's the perfect location to take a sports management degree because New York is a sports capital.
Oh,
You have
yes.
2 NBA teams, you have 2 NFL teams.
Hockey teams.
to hockey teams, to baseball teams. All the headquarters of the 4 major leagues are there. So everything's there, right? So the people working in that industry, you come across them on a daily basis. They teach in our school. Okay? They come by as speakers. So you get acquainted with them, and you really learn what actually happens in the industry.
Colombia is known as a very good journalism school as
Yes,
well.
that's right.
And how tough was it? Or was it more enjoy because you liked it to sports compared to the law studies?
It was still tough. Law school is much harder. I would have to say that. No contest. But the master's program was still very tough at Columbia. The standards were very high.
Did you have a thesis?
Not a thesis. We don't call it a
You had a
thesis.
master's project, parang
Yeah,
ganun.
we had a Keystone project.
Ah, yeah, okay. Which was about?
The Olympics for me.
Okay, which part
Yeah.
of the Olympics did you do?
Marketing, Olympic
Oh,
marketing. So we
the-
were working with the LA 2028 people because the LOC for Los Angeles was already formed at that time.
Okay.
So this was very recent. I was there in 2020, 2021.
Oh, during the pandemic.
Yes.
Oh boy, that's interesting. And then, of course, LA is going to host the Olympics again after hosting in 84. They will be the host after Paris, right?
That's right.
Okay. How did the SBP connection start, given all these studies and everything?
Okay.
Where did it start?
So I always believe that God has a plan. And I finished my studies at Columbia December of 2021. I came back January of 2022, and the MVP group was already looking for someone to help them run the World Cup. No? So I was given a call, and I was asked if I was interested. And this was days before my flight home to Manila.
Before, huh?
Yes, right before, right when I finished. So I'm like, well, it's basketball, of course I'm interested. So I flew home. First week I was here, I was still in quarantine. I had my interview with MVP, with Al Panilla, and with Ricky Vargas, no, through Zoom because there was still a lockdown in Manila, somewhat a lockdown, and that's what started it. Well, we had a good conversation, and everything flowed well from there.
Who recommended you? I would recommend you, knowing you, but who recommended you to
Of course, it would have to be someone from Ateneo, right? So it was Debbie Tan.
Debbie Tan, our manager for life, Debbie
Yes.
Tan, di ba? Okay, so Debbie Tan recommended. And what was your response? Were you interested right away?
Yes, I was. When I heard that they were looking for someone for the World Cup, you know, it's basketball. And as a former basketball player and as somebody who had just gone through a master's education in sports management, I was raring to apply what I've learned to something. And this was a world stage event, so it was perfect.
Okay, so with this Columbia degree and the challenge of the World Cup, what were the initial responsibilities? You had to form your team, of course.
Yeah. So I had a lot of help there. Tatsuzara, who was also instrumental with hosting the 2019 SEA Games, was also taken in as a master planner. And he helped form the organization. Okay? And then from there, he guided me and he taught me a lot. And my main function is really to make sure that everybody was working together. So my time at Columbia, going back to that, no, I didn't really focus on one subject. I had classmates who knew what they wanted to do in the industry. Because when you say sports industry, it's still very broad, right?
Yeah.
So some wanted to focus on media, some wanted to focus team operations, most of the lawyers like me wanted to go to sports agency. But I wasn't decided then on what I wanted to focus on. So I took different electives from the different pockets. And so now I know a little bit of everything. I may not be a master of one thing, but a little bit of everything. And it was perfect for my position in the World Cup because we have different functional areas below me. And I knew just enough to understand what they were doing.
And officially, your title was Deputy?
Event director.
How different? What? And who was head as event director?
Sunny Barrios.
Sunny Barrios,
Yes.
who now has retired from the
Correct.
SBP, and you have taken over his position. But what were the I'm sure there are. I remember asking you in one other platform, what are the challenges? Sabi mo, araw-araw iba.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it was ticketing. Remember, you
Yes.
had told me. But what were, if you were to count three, at least three of the challenges, top challenges that you had, were in, oh boy, my Colombia ain't gonna work here. My being lawyer ain't gonna work here. So I gotta be smart and alert to this and flexible, if there
Okay.
were any.
Well, again, ticketing was one.
Okay.
Okay, that's always going to be there. Mainly because the pricing didn't necessarily come from us. And we felt from the beginning that it didn't fit the market. So that was a struggle, right? Second was negotiating with the different stakeholders. Okay, that was also hard because there were so many players, so many third parties that you had to rely on. And yan, parang ano na lang yan, di ba? Parang pakiusap-pakiusap. So, hindi mo yan matututunan sa libro.
Yeah.
Di ba? And I would say the third one would be doing interviews like this.
Was tough.
It was tough for me because I always felt that I could have used the time elsewhere because we're hosting an event, so you had finite time, right? Towards it. It's not like you're building something that you just want to improve and improve.
But you
Here,
had to
there's a
explain
goal.
at a certain point to certain
Yes,
people.
definitely. But it's part of the job. You do have to come out in interviews and talk to people because the public has to know what's happening.
Do
Right?
you miss your phone being busy?
No.
Not at all.
Not at
You know,
all.
my favorite moment of you.
It's still busy, by the way.
Yeah, but not as much as
Yeah.
well. You know, my favorite moment of you in the World Cup was, I think it was the U.S. game, and you and Sonny Barris were just standing, and I was teasing you about the Canadian national anthem sounding like the Ateneo
Yeah.
hymn, and I found you so relaxed, and I said, this must be quite a moment for you to just enjoy the
Yeah.
game. What were your shining moments that you will keep for a lifetime from the World Cup?
You know, honestly, I've been asked this question over and over again, and I still go back to the same moment. No, this was before Luka played his first game in Manila. The stadium was really packed.
Mhm.
There were so many kids around, and I was walking right before the game. I was walking around the concourse, and I could see how excited the young ones were. No, that they were gonna see an NBA star in Luka Doncic here, and that brought me to tears because that really, I'm having goosebumps right now remembering it. Yun yung nakakatanggal ng pagod, yung mga ganon. So yun talaga ang highlight ko.
You expected that response because people were going bananas when the NBA players and you were telling me before we went onto this program is that marunong talaga yung basketball fan na Pilipino. Kahit yung mga European players, kilala nila. That you expected, no?
Yes, oo. We expected that. We knew that Filipinos really love the game of basketball. That's why MVP pursued this, right? Because he wanted to bring world basketball close to the hearts of the Filipinos.
Personal learning ni Attorney Erika D. What were
Marami
3 or
yan.
4?
Okay, sige. Let's do 3. One, and I'll stick with learnings for the industry.
Okay.
One would be that in events like this, you have to remember that your greatest asset is not an asset you own. Okay?
Oh,
And I'm
that's-
talking about
wow.
the players. That's the greatest asset of the World Cup, the players. And our mistake, which we learned from, is marketing-wise. We were marketing all these big NBA players. And all of a sudden, may injury, hindi nakapunta. Di ba? Parang hindi nagpa-line up for whatever reason. Gustong manood lang ng horse racing. Di ba? May mga ganyan.
Okay.
So, so in effect, no, parang medyo nawala ng gana yung ibang tao kasi parang hinype up mo na eh, di ba? And going through our experience, hindi naman pala yun lang ang pwedeng ibenta. Because there was so much other things under our control that we could have marketed. Like, one would be the game experience. That was something else, right? What happens before the game, halftime, or in between the games. Ganda nung show. That was in our hands, di ba? We could have inform people more about that.
That's my favorite moment. Pilipino lang yung pwede yung dancer, sumasayaw doon sa tuktok ng
Oh,
no
di
score,
ba?
di ba?
Saan
No,
ka nakakita
Pinoy
ng
talaga,
gano'n?
di ba? May sayaw ang basketball talaga. Ano pa?
Di ba?
Ano pa?
Tapos, meron pa yung enjoy na enjoy yung mga tao interacting with the fans of the other nations.
That was fun, no?
Yes, di ba?
Doon
That
sa
was an
hallways, no?
experience.
Sa Araneta and later on sa
Oo.
MOA. That
So,
was...
yung culture nung World Cup, nakalimutan namin i-market yun. Di ba? Yung pala pwedeng i-market. Hindi lang pala yung players ang dapat minamarket. So, that was one, no? Number 2, relationships matter. Di ba? You can hire...
At all levels.
Yes, at all levels. You can hire the best minds there are. But no matter how hard you prepare or anticipate things, there's gonna be problems. And when those problems come, yung relationship mo with the different stakeholders, yun yung magdadala eh. Yun yung makakahanap ng solusyon, di ba? Parang kung hindi kayo mag-work together, wala. So, iba talaga yung
I've
dating
seen
ng
you coach and I've
relationships.
seen you scowl sometimes when the play doesn't work. Were there days like that and this play is not working?
You know, I'm proud to say, wala.
Oh, talaga.
Oo.
Galing
Hindi
naman.
ako nanigaw. Actually, kino-question na ako ng mga ibang
Staff
tao
mo.
natin sa World Cup. Parang sinasabi na parang,
Is this
Hindi
Erika?
ka ba marunong magalit? No, they didn't know me from coaching. So,
Okay.
Di ba?
So you had quite a team. You had Charlie Cuna, you had Carlo Pamilya, you had Bako, some very good basketball people. Now, would you do it again?
Yes.
With those
Any given
Kaso,
day, yeah.
ang tagal ng rotation, baka naman,
Oo,
ako wala na ako, ikaw nandyan pa, you'll have a chance to do it again. But would you do another event that big now that you know all these things that you're saying?
Yes, I would. Actually, parang nakakatawa nga nung nagdi-debrief kami. Parang may isa kaming functional area head, sabi. Dapat tunin na lang tayo ng Qatar. Qatar yung next eh. Parang wala na silang problema kasi ngayon alam na natin. Diba? Kasi nakangapa kami lahat eh, diba?
And the FIBA said it was run so excellently.
Yes.
We had daily skirmishes along the way, but nothing that could not be solved. Now, let's look ahead. We've gone from the past, your basketball years, the World Cup, coaching. Now, as executive director, what is the main job to do aside from helping out Al Panlilio, of course, and the other stakeholders? What's the main job?
Well, we're sort of doing a refresh of the organization. And that's also because of the momentum that hosting the World Cup brought about. Because we saw what world-class basketball was like. And we would like to be at par as a federation there. So we have identified 3 areas of focus now for the SPP. That's grassroots development. Okay. The second one is the national teams. And the third area is institutional support, which is, I think, a non-traditional aspect of any federation. It's sort of your non-basketball operation side, where you want all your stakeholders to thrive as well. So yung lahat ng commercial aspects nandyan. Tapos you want to give all that support to the members.
Ano view mo about grassroots? In the context that we do have a PBA, we have several basketball leagues. Let's talk of men's basketball first. Where is grassroots level in the context of the men's game, halimbawa?
Sige. So ang grassroots, diba? When we talk about grassroots, we really are looking into participation, right, in the sport. Especially at the young levels. Kumbaga, yung magiging feeder program mo for your more elite leagues, whether that's college or even high school is a bit elite already in our country where basketball is well loved, and the PBA. So, pagdating sa grassroots, parang we want to make sure na hindi nauubos yung talent. Diba?
Make stream, baga.
Oo, correct. Na parang tuloy-tuloy yung daloy ng player, diba? Mula maliit, hindi nawawala yung interest dun sa level na yon. If ever, dapat pinadadami mo pa. Diba?
Is that a problem in this country?
Not right now. But,
Okay.
Diba? It's not right now. I mean, basketball, obviously, by far is the number 1 sport. But I think if we don't do the work, one day it might not be. So we don't want to risk that. We want to continue to push basketball in the grassroots level. And it's not only about the numbers, it's also about the quality. What are we teaching these kids?
How different is this job from your jobs sa World Cup? So yung day-to-day operations ng SBP, you're much closer to that? You're hands-on
Yeah.
as far as that is concerned?
Yeah, it's different, no? Because you had a set of deliverables for the World Cup. Here, it's much more fluid, no?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Diba? You have a vision, and then you have a strategy to get to that vision, diba? And you talk to a lot of people to buy into that so that you can all work together and realize the vision.
Alam mo, you're right. You know, before we went on the air, we were talking about how important the chapters of the SBP in the provinces are. And there are leagues happening not only in Cebu, but throughout the country. What is your plan as far as these different associations or these groupings in the country are concerned?
Yeah. So we really want to activate what we call our regional directors,
Yeah.
no, in the provinces. We have 16 of them. And their mandate is really to roll out the grassroots program in the region. Okay, so we recently hired Norman Black to head our grassroots. I'm flying with him to Australia next week to learn from their grassroots program. Okay, we'll be there just for 4 days. Then he will come back here. He's also going to be going to Serbia to do the same thing, and we're going to combine what has been learned there to have our own grassroots program here. And what he wants, no, his vision for the grassroots program is to have a Philippine brand of basketball. And we teach basketball, the fundamentals of basketball, the same way across the country to the kids.
So coaching is involved?
Yes, coaching is involved. Skills coaching, that level, diba? Not necessarily teaching them, tactics on the court, but it's really more fundamentals, skill development. Because, again, we want to produce high-quality players.
Okay. You are in a, hindi naman favored, but in a unique position to take care of your particular area, which is women's basketball. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're going to give it some. What are the things we have to do there?
Marami-rami.
Okay.
No, the industry is very young when it comes to women's basketball in the country. It's gone a long way since the days that I was playing. It's much better right now. But I think at this point, we have yet to see a sustainable professional league. Diba?
Is that important for
That's very important.
something to look forward to, no?
Yes, because if you talk about your national team, which is our prime responsibility at the SBP, where do we get the players to represent us abroad? What happens is, because there's no active professional league here, is we have to run a team for a whole year. So imagine the operational
Yeah.
cost of that. And where do we send them to play? Wala rin silang makakalaban dito. So parang kailangan maghanap pa kami ng tournament palagi sa labas
Saka
to prepare for the
May
FIBA
wear and
tournament.
tear din no?
Oo. So ang ideal is, we have something like the PBA, tapos pag may competition, tatawagin mo na lang sila doon, di ba? The best of the best.
Hindi enough yung college leagues. That's not enough for in the context of a national team preparation.
No kasi parang sinabi mo, lalaban natin yung college players natin sa professional players ng ibang bansa. So, medyo malayo, di ba?
So how is the staffing? Did you change the staffing of the SBP under your office? Are you bringing along some people that you worked with in the World Cup and joining your team now?
Yeah. So, we retained pretty much all of the staff, no? We just gave them specific areas of accountabilities. I interviewed each of the staff members one by one, part of the house cleaning, no? And I tried to match their talents and their interests with a certain area. So, para may focus din sila at may career path din silang susundan. And then I also hired new individuals, consultants, to take part in this refresh of the organization.
What is your take on the usual criticism that we tend to over-rely on the PBA because we still have the best players in the PBA? What is your take on the issue of having a national team for different levels, for the SEA Games, the Asian Games, and the preparations are different for each one? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, the PBA is a very good partner of the SBP, no? And we're very lucky that they are there and that we can depend on them. Kasi it's not as easy, no, to form a national
Oh, yeah.
team, right? I mean, it's not just here in our country. We see it in other countries. You see it in the United States, di ba? More often than not, they send not their best players, di ba? Which would have been ideal. Minsan nagre-rely sila sa G League, minsan college players pa. Kasi, syempre, parang ang national team tournament, hindi tuloy-tuloy yan eh. Diba?
Parang sa kanila, Olympics lang importante.
Yeah.
No?
Tapos, panapanahon, di ba? So, kung player ka, syempre, iisipin mo, you're a professional player, yung club mo more than anything else. Kasi yun yung day job mo eh. Diba? So, it's important. So, the fact that the PBA is adjusting for the SBP, we're very grateful for that, no, and appreciative of that. And we hope that the partnership continues.
But do you think nitty-gritty na, no? Like for the SEA Games level, other countries are beginning to get naturalized players. So the equation has changed. You think we need a younger team, not necessarily PBA players for the SEA Games? It depends.
It really depends for me on the head coach of our national team.
Okay.
Because sometimes, going to the SEA Games could be preparation for another tournament of higher caliber, right? So it really depends.
Just two final questions. Do you think it's going to be a great thing if you were able to form help form a more regular professional or semi-pro tournament league for the women and help it along? What do you think?
That would be great, no? If we could get the support to do that.
You need private support na the companies,
yes,
no?
Definitely. Kailangan talaga ng private support. That's true for any sport. I mean, yung Philippine government lagi nasisisi yan about what happens in our sports.
Yeah.
Pero to be honest, it's not their fault.
Yeah, government is necessary.
Yeah,
it's
government's
important.
necessary, but they're only there to support. It has to be the private sector to really push sports forward if we want it to be sustainable.
Did the young Erika D who played basketball in Poveda see herself being a sports official several years later? Probably a player, probably a coach, but now as a sports official, did you see that coming?
Not at all. Far from it. So, but we end up, I truly believe that we end up where we're supposed to be. And so far, I'm happy with what I'm doing. So I'm grateful that I'm here.
What's the dream for you?
Well, right now in SBP, I think I share the same dream as MVP, which is to have all our national teams, men and women, in the top 16 of the world, right? But that vision will only happen if all the stakeholders really come together and contribute. Ang nangyayari sa atin dito sa Philippines, unfortunately, is that everybody loves basketball, but we're all doing our separate thing, di ba? Instead of, bringing all those efforts together. So that's the strategy right now. We want to unify all those efforts para makaangat talaga tayo in the world stage. And my dream talaga is for all Filipinos to be a part of the journey. I'm a strong believer, Seb, na alam mo yung kasabihan na it's not the trophy, it's a chase.
Wow.
Diba? I really enjoy that eh. And I want all Filipinos to enjoy that. Because if they enjoy that chase, if they're part of that journey, of trying to achieve something, hindi siya matatapos eh. Lagi kang hungry for it eh. And long before, kahit after na tayo mawala dito, parang yung mga Pilipinong papalit sa atin, hahabulin nila ng hahabulin yan kasi naramdaman na nila yung chase na yon. And that's the only way that we can someday be on top.
If law school was the preparation for the sports management degree, do you think the World Cup was the pre-game before this SBP thing? Or is it too large ang World Cup? Or mas mahaba siguro itong gagawin mo sa SBP?
Honestly, my first 2 months here, the announcement was made this week, but I was actually appointed late November, I think. And then it was made official sometime in December. But these first 2 months here has been harder already than all my months preparing for the World Cup.
And that's why we're thankful you could spend a little time with us with this long conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, dear basketball fans everywhere, this is, I love calling you Attorney Erika D. Lest people forget that you are a lawyer, of course, and the executive director of the SBP. And you can catch our long conversations with the country's game masters on Pilipinas Live. For the ultimate sports viewing experience, download Pilipinas Live via Google Play and the App Store. You can register now for free. On behalf of Erika D, thank you for joining us. Seb Sarmenta saying thank you. Goodbye.